President Trump escalated his stonewalling of Congress today, directing former White House counsel Don McGahn to defy a congressional subpoena and skip a House Judiciary hearing scheduled for tomorrow. The Justice Department backed up the unprecedented move in a memo arguing Congress may not constitutionally compel the president's senior advisors to testify about their official duties. In a letter to Judiciary Chairman Gerald Nadler, White House counsel Pat Cipollone declared Mr. McGahn is absolutely immune from compelled congressional testimony. In a separate letter, McGahn's own lawyer confirmed he would not show up for tomorrow's hearing. President Trump weighed in on the decision late today.
As I understand it, they're doing that for the office of the presidency for future presidents. I think it's a very important precedent. And the attorneys say that they're not doing that for me. They're doing that for the office of the president.
You notice how he's laughing. Anyway, the decision to block House Democrats from hearing a star witness in their investigation into whether the president obstructed justice comes as the first Republican congressman calls President Trump's conduct impeachable. Today, Michigan Congressman Justin Amash is holding firm in the face of a blowback from the president himself. Amash broke ranks in a series of tweets this Saturday, arguing, contrary to Barr's portrayal, Mueller's report reveals that President Trump engaged in specific actions and a pattern of behavior that met and meets the threshold for impeachment. President Trump fired back at Amash, tweeting he was, quote, never a fan of Justin Amash, a total lightweight, adding, Justin is a loser who sadly plays right into our opponent's hands. For more, I'm joined by former Congressman of New York, Elizabeth Holtzman, author of The Case for Impeaching Trump, and Charlie Sykes, editor-in-chief of The Bulwark. This is the primary, to me, figure in the case. If Don McGahn was told by the president, Elizabeth, he was told to fire Mueller. That's an obstruction of justice. Clearly, he would be a great star witness. Trump has just put his finger right in the eye of Congress and says, you're not going to hear from your star witness. Live with it. It is nervy, to put it lightly. Your thoughts?
Well, the president is a champion of reality TV. And the one thing he's mostly afraid of is a reality TV that comes back and bites him. And that's what would happen. The American people saw Don McGahn testifying that the president ordered him to engage in obstruction of justice, basically to try to cover up the investigation, stop the investigation, fire Mueller, all of that stuff. The American people would be shocked and horrified. And so what we're seeing here is cover up in capital letters. It's the kind of thing that is shocking and horrifying because, in the end, Congress and the American people have to see the truth. I mean, if we go back to Watergate, we didn't have this kind of nonsense going on. John Dean, White House counsel, testified before the Senate Watergate Committee and gave critical testimony that the president had paid hush money. He told the president about his conversations, paid hush money, dangled pardons. Haldeman and Ehrlichman, his top aides, came and testified. You can't have a situation. We're going to a monarchical system where the president can stop people from testifying, particularly when we're talking about potential criminal activity, potential violations of the Constitution, and abuse of power. All of those things are implicated in Donald Trump's behavior. And it's outrageous for him to try to cover this up from the American people.
Charlie, I would find it. I watched Elizabeth Holtzman, among the others, in the House Judiciary Committee way back when. But I got to tell you something. I'm struck by the other possibilities. This would be like Nixon when he's ordered to turn over the June 23rd tape that has him incriminated in obstructing justice, saying, burn the tape now. Here's Trump, when everybody knows the role that Don McGahn played. If you believe all this testimony, that he was, in fact, obstructing justice at the president's direction to fire Mueller. And then when all that's out in the public light, it's in the Mueller report right up front, after we all know about it, like we knew about the Nixon tape, then he says, I'm not going to let you hear from this guy. I'm going to order him gagged. Amazing.
Well, it is amazing, and I do think we've reached now the point of no return on whether or not the House has to open the impeachment proceedings. I've actually been very sympathetic to the go slow folks and what Nancy Pelosi's been talking about, but I don't think they have any choice at this point. If you're going to get the documents you want, if you're going to be able to compel this testimony, the House Democrats are going to have to begin those impeachment proceedings. And I have to say, they also have to acknowledge that they are losing the messaging war. I mean, I am somewhat flabbergasted at their failure to follow up on the Mueller report. And as a result, you've seen the president acting like he is emboldened, going on the offense, unleashing the attorney general to threaten to investigate the investigators and go after the president's political opponents. But at this particular point, this is the cover-up. They are a complete stonewalling strategy, and it is a fundamental act of contempt for Congress. And go back to what Congresswoman Spears said in the last segment. At some point, Democrats have to stop looking at the polls and thinking about this in political terms and need to understand the constitutional obligation and the stakes here if they do not open these proceedings. Because, the president has basically taken a position that
I'm going to ask the Congresswoman that. When is the point of no return? When you can't say the public, all they want to do is get the House of the state Democrat. Right. That's all they care about. If there's any danger to the suburban new House members, we can't do it. Not everybody thinks like a politician, thank God. They think like voters and citizens. When's that? I'll go back to Congresswoman Holtzman. When are the voters of the Democratic Party stand up and say, excuse me, stop being so tactical, Madam Speaker. We want a prosecution of this president. You expected Mueller to do it for you? He was the investigator. It's the job of the House of Representatives to prosecute the case under the Constitution, not Mueller, the House.
Well, if you go back to Watergate in the House Judiciary Committee, we didn't take a poll before we started our impeachment inquiry. The president fired the special prosecutor, and the American people said, enough is enough. We're not a banana republic, and Congress, you have to do something about it because a president can't decide who is going to investigate him and who is going to prosecute him. That's it. And so we started. We didn't take polls. We didn't know how many members of the committee were going to support impeachment. We didn't know how many members of the House were going to support impeachment. We definitely didn't even know what the numbers were going to be in the Senate. We did it because the American people wanted it and because it was the right thing to do. And you don't know how it's going to turn out. What we knew is that if you do it in the right way, you do it in a fair way, you do it in an honorable way, you get solid evidence, you try to bring Republicans along, you explain it to the American people, they will support the effort if it's bipartisan and if it's fair and if it's based on solid evidence.
We're working on that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.